Was over the back seat. I told her to get her to the hospital because she was in respiratory failure. You wouldn't leave, bitch. You didn't help my granddaughter. You know who I'm talking about. The cops know. It was on video. But they won't touch you for some odd reason. They won't touch him for some odd reason. Either you left with him and Karena, and then she was done in, or you took Karena somewhere and you had it done. This is where my granddaughter stood last, Kokomo. Right here. Right here in Kokomo, Indiana. She vanished in a car with a female, Paige Shirley. The police know all this. They will not act. They will not react. They won't do. And it's a shame. It's a total shame.
You're standing at the exact spot, like right over here. Right in front of
Okay, well, we're going to release a balloon for Karena again.
I tied mine up to the bush.
And hopefully it won't go towards the reservoir.
Hopefully it don't land on the car's window.
Or go up in the tree. All right. But anyway, Karena, this is for you. Grandma remembers you. You have a new baby brother. His name's Raleigh McClurkin. You'll never get to see him, Karena. You have a niece, Caitlin Lee. You'll never get to know. Because some dumbasses had to take you out for no reason. This is for you, baby girl.
I know I said it last night's video, but...
Okay, I'm going to end the video. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Contact KPD.
Oh, wait, the car's going by you. Careful, Jerry, the other way. I didn't go up. Dang it, man.
So I tied mine to the tree.
Stay right there.
This is exactly where I made that promise to her, and I will see to it she makes a home.
It was over the back seat. I told her to get her to the hospital because she was in respiratory failure. You wouldn't leave, bitch. You didn't help my granddaughter. You know who I'm talking about. The cops know. It was on video. But they won't touch you for some odd reason. They won't touch him for some odd reason. Either you left with him and Karena, and then she was done in, or you took Karena somewhere and you had it done.
Okay, one thing I definitely want to bring up right at the very beginning of this slide. What Jerry McClurkin was saying on that video you just seen was conversation she had with Gabriel Sebastian Ellis. It was Andrea Joe Glassburn and Jerry McClurkin ping-ponging who was to sign in on Gabriel Ellis's visitor list at the Howard County Jail multiple times. If anybody that does not believe me, why, Hale Investigations and their private investigator decided to drop Karena McClurkin's case, it wasn't because of me. Wasn't because of who I was talking to. Wasn't because of who I was leaking information. The more we got on Gable Ellis, the ones around him involving Karena McClurkin being sexually trafficked, and her own mother, this sits in my federal records, admits that she was trafficked, sexually trafficked by Gable Ellis to a Kokomo firefighter out of station number 4. He was an active firefighter paid to beat and rape Karena again. In her words, he got a little too rough with her and ended up choking her to death. For the first year, 1 week, 1 day of Karena McClurkin's case, the FBI agent Michael Curtis, the same FBI agent Michael Curtis that started the first Odin report, with suspects that are sitting in our files, my BAFI informant files, with the agent Michael Curtis, had them there in Delphi on known domestic terrorism suspects like Brad Holder, who his kindred and cartel networks go back to members like Brad, Patrick Westfall, Gabe Wallace, Kyle Stacy, the names I've said over and over again. And I want you guys to keep this in mind. Everything I was getting, I was still an active FBI informant in 2018. Everything I was getting told by Tina Riddell, among others, was getting fed to Michael Curtis, the same lead investigative uh, lead investigative agent when it comes to becoming involved with Delphi, a case he allowed suspects known to him and the FBI to go on to further target and cause further victims. In Karena McClurkin's case, on federal record, I sat as not just an FBI informant. On my way home, I did one act of selfless service, integrity, honor, the values I was taught and instilled in me since the age of 17 when I raised my right hand and swore an oath to my nation and her people. At the age of 17, I went into the United States Army, National Guard. I stood by my oath, and that paycheck I signed to my country and her people, still to this day. And one thing I want to bring up is I tried going on a live panel just last night, going over how Richard Allen shouldn't be behind bars. He was railroaded, and they were doing a Q&A. I was blocked, silenced, made fun of in chat. Well, while you guys are laughing, I want you to keep in mind, within 72 hours, if I was to keep talking to ISP, FBI, the Delphi investigations, I'll be slit, tortured, left in puddles of my own blood, tortured like those two little Delphi girls. And I want you to keep in mind, give me 2 seconds. Give me a second. I got family here. Give me 2 seconds. I gotta be right back. Give me 2.1 seconds. I have to mute for probably about 3 or 4 minutes.
It was over the back seat. I told her to get her to the hospital because she was in respiratory failure. You wouldn't leave, bitch. You didn't help my granddaughter. You know who I'm talking about. The cops know. It was on video. But they won't touch you for some odd reason. They won't touch him for some odd reason. Either you left with him and Karena and then she was done in, or you took Karena somewhere and you had it done. This is where my granddaughter stood last, Kokomo. Right here. Right here in Kokomo, Indiana. She vanished in a car with a female, Paige Shirley. The police know all this. They will not act. They will not react. They won't do. And it's a shame. It's a total shame.
You're standing at the exact spot, like right over here. Right in front of you.
Okay, well,
We're going to release a balloon for Karena again.
I tied mine up to the bush.
And hopefully it won't go towards the reservoir
hopefully it don't land on the car's window.
or go up in the tree. All right. But anyway, Karena, this is for you. Grandma remembers you. You have a new baby brother. His name's Raleigh. Raleigh McClurkin. You'll never get to see him, Karena. You have a niece, Caitlin Lee. You'll never get to know. Because some dumbasses had to take you out for no reason. This is for you, baby girl.
I know I said it last night's video, but
Okay, I'm gonna end the video. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Contact KPD.
Oh, wait, the car's going by it. Careful, Gary, the other way. I didn't go up. Dang it, man.
so I tied mine to the tree.
Stay right there.
This is exactly where I made that promise to her, and I will see to it she makes a home.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. But one thing you were hearing, Jerry McClurkin and Andrea Joe Glassburn, what they were saying, this is the location where my granddaughter stood and got into a vehicle with Paige, Brianne, Shirley. You're hearing Jerry McClurkin, her own self, out of jailhouse interviews, and I wouldn't say interviews, but jailhouse visits with her and Andrea Joe Glassburn going to meet Gabriel Ellis at the Howard County Jail. You're hearing Karena McClurkin's biological grandmother on the dad's side talking about Paige Shirley picking Karena McClurkin up from where I stopped to help her on my way home. Took her out to Gabriel Ellis at his trailer. When she picked her up, she took her to Gabriel Ellis. That's where their stories, and you heard the story change from, oh, Gabe said when she brought her out to his trailer, she was in respiratory arrest, was overdosing. You need to get her to the hospital. But then others, like Blaine Nelson, Justin, and a few others, came forward with information where the story gets further into it, including Karena's own mother admitting that Gabriel Ellis sexually trafficked Karena McClurkin that led to her missing and murdered. And she was given a tour of the crime scene on Harrison Street at the apartment of Gabriel Ellis's daughter. She told me about a hole that was caused by her head going into a bathroom wall being covered by a mirror. I want you guys to go back and watch the video, Karena McClurkin, and 24 hours before the KPD press conference. What's not being said? The names. Everybody that was hidden. Set for the first year, 1 week, 1 day, until I was told to go talk to the locals. Karena McClurkin, Delphi, Flora, Logansport Fires, Jeremy Patterson, Daniel Hyde. I was told on more than one missing and murdered case that suspects known by the FBI and Michael Curtis. Some were already involved with Karena McClurkin's case that went on to Flora, then to Delphi. Then 96 days after Delphi, you had Jeremy Patterson. What's sick in all these cases, individuals back to Karena's, the criminal network, and suspects known to the FBI were allowed to go on to target and to carry out further attacks within the troubled community and taking lives of adults and children alike. And when I've got people like Aaron Unger and her Delphi friend JP, if I was to keep talking, I'd be killed, just like those two little Delphi girls. And I want you to keep this in mind. The investigative prosecutor, Don Whitehead, at Howard County Prosecutor's Office, the number you're seeing here with Michael Curtis and myself, I was still active during Delphi. This is being paid February 15th for the first Odin report that led to a domestic terrorism investigation in Delphi on suspects like Brad Holder, among others. This whole time I'm speaking up. I'm having individuals like out of Chicago, part of the cartel, Daryl Farrell. Go ahead, keep running your gums. You're the next one to go missing vanished. You don't need to pack your bags where you're going. Then he had Aaron Unger, her friends. And this is another thing. Aspen Connor wants to say Paige Shirley is innocent. This is me becoming not just a federal informant turned federal witness, but I had to go as a living victim, allowed to become a victim by the FBI. Their lies, disregard, and negligence on suspects like Paige Shirley involved with Karena McClurkin's case. I had to get a protective order. The physical attacks, the stalking, the harassment by known suspects that were involved that went on to further target and cause other missing murder cases. The FBI knew, refused to act. Then I had individuals like Tyler Joe French, knowing where I live. But one thing I want to bring up is other couple of locals, the militia, like Jeff Brackett. This right here, I contacted a Larry Nasser victim that turned attorney and was actually involved with one of the major law firms that went after and exposed the FBI lies, disregard, negligence, mistakes, allowed hundreds of victims to become victims by Larry Nasser, a known suspect, just like Brandon Scott Hole. the FedEx mass shooter, the jttf, Indiana State Police, FBI, the locals. They all knew, just like Michael Curtis, Gabe Willis, Brad Holder, among others, that went on to carry out Delphi, Florida, Logansport fires. I reached out to a Nasser victim that chose not to just stand there as a victim, to speak up as a victim. She went on, got to college, and she ended up getting where her and her law firm is one of the leading law firms that went on to expose the FBI with the help of the Department of Justice, Office of Inspector General, that got lied to by the lead agent in charge, Jay Abbott. Then they exposed where he ordered the cover up, deleting of evidence, files of their lies, disregard, and negligence when it came to allowing Larry Nasser to go on to victimize hundreds of people. Interstate, other states, Michigan, California, Indianapolis, Indiana. Through all these states, he was allowed to go on to cause further victims. But when I got a hold of this attorney, and I sent her, and I showed her, I was disposed of, let go of. Why? Because I went and talked to the locals on her case instead of talking to the FBI. And why? I was told to by the agent. Using me going to talking to the locals, speaking to the police department, then to the prosecutor's department. When the prosecutor's department brought up the texts, the messages, everything between me and the agent, showing the prosecutor's office, the PD, where the FBI agent over me and the FBI knew intel on her case, suspects involved with her case, but their lies, disregard, and negligence allowed hers and other cases to go on. They contacted the FBI. Yes, that was Field Agent Michael Curtis. That was his number. Yes, I was still an active informant on federal record as a federal witness in Karena McClurkin's case. Then, not only the FBI, the state and locals, they knew with that protective order, became federal living victim myself. After the moment they allowed me to become a victim myself, I chose to do what that attorney did. Did give a voice to the voices that do not have a voice or ability to fight for themselves. And I want you to keep in mind, within 72 hours, and by the last of the threats, within 24 hours of Aaron Unger's, the cartel will kill me, my family, for smudge is rolling. I want you to keep in mind, 7 individuals end up going through a planned murder hit when Aaron Unger chose to start the threats, the harassment, telling me that the cartel was going to kill me, my family. This is what happened in Kokomo, December 23rd, 2020. Friends of Aaron Unger, Celeste Sexton, her daughter, among others, the same cartel network they were involved with and helped commit more than one missing and murder case, went through a planned targeted murder hit that was spelled to be carried out December 15th at my first cousin's house, where her underage daughter and her toddler son was living with her mother and father at her mother's house. That was my first cousin, my second cousin, my third cousin, little toddler cousin. The murder hits by the same cartel, the same individuals that went on to Delphi, Karena, Flora, Logansport, Daniel Height, Nicole Bowen, Jeremy Patterson, Christina Dixon, her boyfriend, up in Richmond. They chose to carry out a targeted murder hit on my own immediate family. And you had content creators last night going Q&A that had this, know about all this, and I was going to bring it up. Unlike them, being there as content creators and for views, for clicks, I have my own personal reason why I'm standing up, and I'm not choosing to be like Derek and his family. No snitch code, no speaking up, no exposing the truth. On the same cartel that went through a planned, targeted murder hit on my own immediate family just hours after threats to carry out the same missing and murdered threats upon me if I was to keep talking on more than one missing murdered case. These seven inbred cocksuckers, I wish they would try it with me. Sure wouldn't turn out the same way. There's some that barely got any time when it comes to that case. And give me a second, I'm trying to pull up others. My phone's glitching. What in the world's going on here? Go on, give me a second. Whoa. What in the world's going on here? I've seen the other night, I'm not the only one that's been having problems with this. Wow. What in the world's going on here? Give me a second. Because I got to the point where I was bringing up the last bit of my slides and it started glitching. I remember somebody last night on live said this was doing the same thing to them and others those last couple weeks. Give me a second. Okay, I think we're back. I don't know what it was, but yeah, that was weird. That last slide, it glitched and stopped on me. I wasn't able to get to the last of them. I've got five more slides. But if you look up Simon Pearson's murder case out of Kokomo, you'll read through everything I just put up there. I was trying to get that words bigger print where you guys are able to read, but if you actually pause and zoom in, you'll be able to read those clearly. But you'll see the seven individuals that went through a targeted murder hit on my own family. I've been speaking up for the last few years, not just for Karena, but the murder hit the same cartel that went on to Delphi, Karena, among others, acted within my own family. And content creators like last night refused to let me come up on panel, thinking they know all, sitting out of state, many of them, just getting rebirthed information many times coming from me. I had actually the all-knowing Michael Oshbrook got the names wrong on another content creators. Oh, Gabe Ellis was parading the two murder weapons around. I had to correct him on the live stream by a phone call. Then he they even say, "Hey, who corrected him?" Oh, they make sure to keep that hidden and not told to you guys. But went on the chat and was like, "Oh, I was just corrected live, like just now." And this is the list of names and the pictures I resent to him. Why are you reverbing it? And just like the game of telephone, one thing is said, but then others go on and get it misconstrued and don't speak it right, but yet speak up as they know everything and know every detail. I had to correct him on that live stream and then him go in just like others, not say who corrected them, what's the correct information, but then go in, oh, I got it right now. This is the right names. These are the ones that were 18 days after the Delphi case, spreading those murder weapons around. But after a phone call I made with a Nasser victim last week, I spent today, this morning, talking to multiple attorneys and filling out intake forms on getting legal counsel by the same attorneys, the same law firms that exposed the FBI, only this time with the Joint Terrorism Task Force. If you look at my community wall post, it involves the Indiana State Police, state and local agencies being led by the FBI. Their lies, disregard, and negligence allowed cases like Delphi and the names I list above and many others to happen. I, for years, been trying to speak up, get a voice for the voiceless, and myself, my own family. These content creators, like last night, chose content thinking they know everything. Well, I'm going to have cease and desist orders, tampering, obstruction, when you're sending friends of yours to pry up everything I knew on suspects, the cases that involved my own family, for the sake of content and money to be made. Just like last night, you chose content and what you thought you knew everything, know all the details, chose to silence me over you and your friends having a good time, good laughs. And you notice I'm not giving out names, but I want you guys to keep this space right here. Agent Michael Curtis with the Joint Terrorism Task Force. He chose his 2019 pension, retirement, and his own admissions. Karina's and the cases that are tied and connected with hers is getting so big. If he was to take it all on in full, it would hinder his retirement and pension. He chose his retirement. He chose disposing of me, my intel, and refusing to act, just like the FBI jttf, state and locals in Florida allowed two mass shootings before the same task force in Indianapolis field office allowed Larry Nasser and then the FedEx mass shooter, all known suspects to the FBI and they refused to act, allowed multiple victims, including myself and my family. So, yeah, when I'm trying to get a voice and when I have content creators and others, if you and your family have been affected, speak up. We're here for the victims. We're here for justice. We're here for the right ones going behind bars. I tried doing that. Not trying to be like Derek, the Patties, the other families. Just like Karena, both sides of her family. They are hiding individuals in that cartel drug network that their own families still operate and still make money for decades and still are. My own family chose that drug ring, their addictions, over speaking the truth. Look up Pearson murder, knowing that an ex-boyfriend did a drive-by, and your daughter wants that ex-boyfriend to come over and spend the night that have already killed somebody, had nothing wrong to see there. Let's have that killer ex-boyfriend spend the night with your underage daughter and underage grandson. Make that make sense. Try asking those questions, the hard questions, and being lied to your face by your own family. Just like the Patties and others, they chose that drug ring to protect it and their addictions. They're dealing over justice. But yes, I can firmly state right now, I can say that I've got more than one law firm taking me on as a client, and it's to show the FBI lies, disregard, and negligence by Agent Michael Curtis, the same agent that was one of the first agents involved in a case he allowed, like Delphi, by known suspects to him and the FBI, they allowed to go on to target and take further lives still to this day. I've now got more than one law firm that went against and exposed the FBI for the lies, disregard, and negligence, the failed investigations, the suspects they are allowed, like Larry Nasser, Brennan Scott Holt, the Florida mass shooters, to go on to commit the crimes they did, refuse to act. These content creators had their chance, but when it came out here soon, nationally, and what law firms, including a Larry Nasser victim, is coming behind me and another trafficked victim, Karena McClurkin, they're not working with either side of the family that are hiding and omitting and lying to the public. They're using the victims, me and Karena, the facts that are sitting in my FBI informant files. It's about to have hell unleashed. The Indiana State Police, the FBI, and state and local agencies that were involved with more than one missing murder case that knew suspects and allowed them to go on to commit further crimes. When that comes out publicly here soon, nationally, in the law firms that are coming in and representing me here soon will be publicly named, and what law firms, what attorneys, down to a Larry Nasser victim, is representing behind me. You're going to have these content creators flipping over backwards going, oh my God, we missed all that content and all that money to be made. And before you can ever think, go ahead and try to use it. Go ahead and obstruct. Tamper with a federal witness and living victim, like you and your friends have been for the last few years. In the same breath, Like I brought up the live that was taken down. Julie Melvin and a few others have some federal questions on why they were giving information to their family back to that cartel, like Cody Patty, the Patties, Jenny Kroom with Brittany, Mossholder, the Mossholder family out of Kokomo, Tina Riddell, her daughter, Gabe Ellis, her daughter's boyfriend. Then he had Linda Miller, her and her family wanting me dead. Linda wanting me to be raped like I was when I was a child. And I had a creator I had to admit, and before they could delete that live, I asked, do you remember where you had Reno and CJ coming on and using my PTSD I got as a child? Why I should be a mental retard and treated as such? You and your friends were laughing and got them to admit, yes, yes, they did have them on. Yes, they did have months on end, weeks on end lives. Yeah, it was a laughing matter. It's never been a laughing matter, just like the other families that these cartel dealers went on to kill. It's never been a laughing matter to them. But it's been a laughing matter, just a way to make content and money to you guys. But when you had victims speaking up that have been targeted and their own family killed here locally, and when you're telling those victims to speak up, oh, we're here for you, we're here for justice, and they do so, and you and your friends chose rather to make content and money, good laughs, remember my PTSD as a child rape and less victim myself, that hell, I don't wish on anybody. Not one child, not one person. But I'm about to be represented and helped after years of asking for a voice and begging even content creators to so much help me get a voice. For the voiceless, for the ones that don't have a voice, can't fight for themselves. Just know what you and your friends and the intel you were allowed giving back to the same ones that went on to walk freely today. What you and your friends allowed and partaked in for years now. Some major events are about to happen. That some things are about to be come to light. National media, and it's going to be let known. Before Larry Nasser, before the FedEx mass shooter, they were doing the same thing for years and covering up, deleting, hiding evidence that goes back to the lies, disregard, and negligence that allowed multiple lives killed. It wasn't the fact that I wasn't speaking up, see something, say something. I did. It's the fact that they refused to do anything and allowed me, myself, and my family to become victims. But remember, I'm just a retard. I don't know what I'm talking about. But the representation coming behind me, they've already won for hundreds of other victims, exposing the FBI, their lies, disregard, negligence. Only this time, it involves the Indiana State Police and locals that were involved with the Joint Terrorism Task Force, that new suspects had investigations and failed to act, allowing known suspects like Gabe Ellis, Brad Holder, to go on to commit further crimes. It's not the fact that I didn't see something, say something. My intel was being used. They refused to act. It allowed even Greg Fancy, Officer Robert Pitts, Deputy Jacob Pickett, Deputy Carl Kuntz, all to be targeted, their lives lost. All of their lies, disregard, and negligence by one agent in the FBI Indianapolis field office. And you think I'm nuts? Look up the FedEx mass shooter. The failed investigations, lies, disregard, negligence allowed him to go on to commit mass murder. Indiana. Larry Nasser, hundreds of victims allowed to be victimized by known suspect. Refused to act. The same jttf down in Florida, state and locals, new intel, failed investigations, refused to act, allowed mass murders of missing, not missing, but mass murders of children and adults alike. The same task force, the same agency allowed multiple victims and families to be targeted, missing and murdered out of the troubled community. And it wasn't the fact that I wasn't speaking up. More than one case, including Karena, Delphi, Flora, Logansport Fires, Daniel Height, Jeremy Patterson. I was told for the first year of their case, only to talk to the FBI and Agent Michael Curtis that was involved in each of these cases. But just know, you all had the choice. Many of you chose to help the individuals like Tina Riddell, Linda Miller, and their cartel family. You chose to help them make content, fake narratives, fake stories that them and their friends cooked up. And you helped push that content for what? Money? Views? Clicks? Saying you're there for justice. You're there for victims. But yet, when I stood up, I spoke up for me and my family, the victims I'm standing up, speaking up against this cartel for their lives. It's a laughing matter to you, and I'm just a retard, remember? But when it hits here nationally, and who's backing me, and who's representing me, keep it in mind. When you try to use me and my story, everything I've been speaking up on to make content, views, clicks, you're going to be shut down real quick. The ones of you tampering with a federal witness turned federal living victim, prying information out of me using sextortion, extortion. Just remember the federal crimes you committed in the sake of content and money to be made. The obstructing on federal level, giving aid, mutual protections to killers, dealers within a cartel, foreign terrorist network, comes with federal crimes. Federal laws being violated. When you're giving information, intel to the families, and more than one involved in more than one missing and murdered case, when you're giving the information back to these individuals to help them walk, like Tina Riddell, her daughter, Linda Miller, her family, then you are trying to say, we're here for justice, we're here for victims. I tried speaking up for me and my family. Where'd they get us? Where'd they get me? You guys made content with your friends. Remember, I'm just a retard. I was never an informant. I'm just another Danny Brasco. While you're giving platforms to ones that were friends with these cartel dealers, their family, you're giving them a platform and praising them, while them and their family want me and my family dead, and have already acted on just like Karena, Delphi, Nicole. That doesn't matter to you guys. It's not good content. Oh, he's just nuts. He's mentally ill. He's a mental retard. It's about to be not a laughing matter here soon. You all chose your actions for the last few years now. You chose to do what you did. You chose to help who you helped. You chose to have the groups like the Girls Rules, Delphi Buzzard groups. Ask Julie all about those, where Shelley Collins and others were giving information down to Elvis Fields out of those groups. Like an Astor's victim, that's not my legal representative, my legal counsel. They're not laughing. They don't think anything of this is funny. Like you and your friends for the last few years have been laughing, having a good time, making thousands on the backs of victims like me and my family, and then silencing me and my family in the name of content and money to be made. All eyes on you. Look here, we know everything. You barely know anything. But the legal representation I've got now coming behind me, physically taking me on, they went against and they've exposed and won a case against the same field office and agents that lied, covered up, and allowed victims like themselves and me and the victims I stand up for, I speak up for, to become victims. It's sad when I had to speak to another victim to get anywhere, to get anything done. But when there's content creators asking anybody local if this cartel on any issues, they've attacked you. If you have a issue, come to them. They want justice. Yeah, right. Just like last night. They knew who they are. They knew who I'm talking about. They blocked me on the live panel multiple times, kicked me off, and then bashed me in the chat. What I was going to bringing up, this is physically what I'm bringing up today. A lot is about to happen in a short amount of time. And just know, the ones that turn their backs and for the sake of money, trying to tamper with me, pry information out of me for the sake of content and money, there's federal legal consequences for what you and your friends have been doing for the last few years. You wanted your name all well known, your name all known to all. Well, guess what? You're about to be a defendant, just like the terrorists that went on to take those lives. During the case, you'll be another defendant that helped them. Not me, not the victims, not my family, not the other victims' families. Not for justice, but for the sake of you, your friends, the content and the money to be made. You helped Tina Riddell. You helped Julie Melvin. You helped these cartel dealers and their families. Like, proved me wrong. Shelley Collins going down and meeting Elvis Fields multiple times, him and his family, giving him everything Julie Melvin and all their friends was giving them to give to Elvis so he could walk free. It's not a laughing matter. And it wasn't a laughing matter when I exposed all this to Larry Nasser's one of his own victims. That's now becoming my legal counsel. It's not a laughing matter to me and my family that this cartel authority went through and carried out a murder hit on, just like they have done before and again and again. You guys love making content about that, but when you're a local and you're speaking up, trying to get a voice, trying to keep from being killed, And when you have content creators for the sake of money and content, and to help these individuals and their families get everything they need so they and their family can walk from the missing and murdered targeted terrorist attacks on the U.S. soil, and you claim that's for justice and that's for victims, you're sick. You're no better than these killers and their families that are hiding them.
It was over the back seat. I told her to get her to the hospital because she was in respiratory failure. You wouldn't leave, bitch. You didn't help my granddaughter. You know who I'm talking about. The cops know. It was on video. But they won't touch you for some odd reason. They won't touch him for some odd reason. Either you left with him and Karena and that she was done in, or you took Karena somewhere and you had it done. This is where my granddaughter stood last, Kokomo. Right here. Right here in Kokomo, Indiana. She vanished in a car with a female, Paige Shirley. The police know all this. They will not act. They will not react. They won't do. And it's a shame. It's a total shame.
You're standing at the exact spot, like right over here. Right in front of you.
Okay, well,
We're going to release a balloon for Karena again.
I tied mine up to the bush.
And hopefully it won't go towards the reservoir
hopefully it don't land on the car's window.
or go up in the tree. All right. But anyway, Karena, this is for you. Grandma remembers you. You have a new baby brother. His name's Raleigh. Raleigh McClurkin. You'll never get to see him, Karena. You have a niece, Caitlin Lee. You'll never get to know. Because some dumbasses had to take you out for no reason. This is for you, baby girl.
I know I said it last night's video, but
Okay, I'm gonna end the video. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Contact KPD.
Oh, wait, the car's going by it. Careful, Gary, the other way. It didn't go up. Dang it, man.
so I tied mine to the tree.
Stay right there.
This is exactly where I made that promise to her, and I will see to it she makes a home.
1, 2, 3, forever and always, fighting for you. 1, 2, 3, forever and always, searching for you. Karena McClurkin. But then, when the same cartel, friends of Aaron Unger, Gabriel Ellis, among others, chose to do the actions they chose on the targeted murder hit on my immediate family in 2020, it became personal. The victims you allowed to live are about to become your worst nightmare. I wasn't able to bring her home alive, but I can sure as hell fight for justice for that trafficked, extorted victim that ended up having her life taken 2 weeks into her 18th birthday, a child herself. She deserves a voice just like me and my family. That voice is about to come. That voice is about to get loud and national. That voice is about to expose the FBI failures, the lies, the disregard, the negligence that allowed known suspects to the FBI and Agent Michael Curtis to go on to further target and take actions against lives. Both them, the state, and locals leaked information back to these individuals Just like the locals knew I was a federal snitch like the Chief Robert Baker. How was that? Was when the investigative prosecutor Don Whitehead contacted the FBI and found out that I was still an FBI informant. I was speaking the truth. I was an informant. Then I stopped to help Karena McClurkin, became a federal informant, turned federal witness on a trafficked, missing, and murdered case. And then later, in the same breath, the same agent failures allowed me to become a victim when I had to prove my case in court against individuals, the FBI, just like Brad Holder, Paige Sturley, Gable Ellis, Hal Stacy, Tyler Joe French. Many of these names were allowed to go on to target and take lives and take actions, including the threats to take me and my family out. That was carried out 72 hours after the threats from Aaron Unger. From the start, December 15th, 2020, after the failed first hit on my family, they refused to do, they backed out. That's when Aaron chose to start the threats, leading up to within hours of when that carried out murder hit happened. I chose not to do what the Patties and Derek, even Jerry, both sides of Karina's family, they chose to protect dealers and that criminal network that their own families still are involved in. They chose, oh, the state and locals, they know what everything they're doing. They know what they're doing. Yeah, they were allowing suspects known to them leaked information from within, like Nicole Bowen. How did Garrett Kurtz Ashley Garth know who was rolling and on what if it wasn't a leaked information coming from within the same task force that Nicole was going to roll to? Just like Dominique Washington, Richmond, killing his two informants that were exposing him, his operation, killed them. How did he get that information? Just like Jeremy Patterson, Alan Tinker, Curtis Beck, both involved in Karena McClurkin's, both on my records with the FBI. One was a domestic terrorism white supremacist. A lot of this information Matt Hoffman knew. Andrew Baldwin knew. All they had to do was act, press, force the information from the FBI when an FBI informant turned federal witness and living victim, their family, targeted, and already one life lost, chose to stand up and speak up. When I gave the two names of the officers I worked with in the second Odin report, they sure jumped on Todd Click, pulled him in. There's so much you guys don't know. They're about to find out. I never lied, and I've spoke the truth from day one. I'm going to play this one last time and keep this in your mind. I've been showing the light in the right direction, and so many people from within that network, that criminal organization, they have been able to infiltrate from dealers and killers sitting in groups to right now on chats. From this foreign terrorist organization, like Criminal Network, Alexander Alvarez Jr. out of Northern California, his Notinos cartel drug ring is now a foreign terrorist organization. It operates in Indiana. What are so many dealers and kingpins, their family and friends, infiltrating the true crime community and befriending content creators to push narratives, stories away from them and their criminal networks back to involvement in more than one missing murder case. It's been going on for years. The true crime community's been pushed, being led astray. Look over here, listen to us. Don't bother listening to them. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just a retard. Don't bother listening to them. Don't go to their page. Don't look at the right direction.
Was over the back seat. I told her to get her to the hospital because she was in respiratory failure. You wouldn't leave, bitch. You didn't help my granddaughter. You know who I'm talking about. The cops know. It was on video. But they won't touch you for some odd reason. They won't touch him for some odd reason. Either you left with him and Karena and then she was done in, or you took Karena somewhere and you had it done. This is where my granddaughter stood last, Kokomo. Right here. Right here in Kokomo, Indiana. She vanished in a car with a female, Kate Shirley. The police know all this. They will not act. They will not react. They won't do. And it's a shame. It's a total shame.
You're saying that they